Hello everyone, I hope your day is going well. If it's not going well, I want you to know now is the time we can start steering our mind in the direction of positivity and love and all of the gratitude we can have. It's hard to feel grateful and stressed at the same time, keep that one in mind. But the topic of today's video, it's going to be drugstore, talking about my favorite drugstore brands and the things that they do best. If anybody maybe is new to my channel, I think this is a great video to get in on the ground floor of my beauty beliefs, maybe we can call it. And if you have been with me for a while, I think this will be a nice little sort of review and catch-all for drugstore related beauty info. And I really thought about this for a while because there are a lot of good drugstore brands. I mean, I'm going to be naming 5 and then the different things that I love that they do, but really there are more that I still like beyond this. Know that. It's not like these are the only 5 good brands, but they're really standing out for me, as you will see, for a number of reasons. And this is just going to be a real like sitting down conversational video. I will definitely link below in my description box to many other places where you can find tutorials and how-tos with all these different products. But first off, I'm going to say Catrice. No big surprise here. I think Catrice is an amazing brand. They're sold in Ulta. They got their start in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, before they became so readily available here in the States, I remember I had quite a few viewers in Germany who were talking about how good Catrice was. And I just feel like I've tried thing after thing after thing that has really impressed me and really just reminded me of high-end quality. The prices are phenomenal, and let me just jump in. Things that I love, foundations. They're doing foundations really well. Where did I put it? The HD liquid coverage is a really, really good one for long wear, super thin feel, like very water weight kind of feel, yet really, really good coverage. And I mean, this can look fresh absolutely all day on me. Now, I'm a normal to dry skin type, and I feel like this maybe verges a little bit on being better for the normal side of me, or even the sometimes combo side of things. It's not an incredibly nourishing to the skin feeling foundation, not a super hydrating foundation, but still the thinness. If you've got a nicely prepped base, you know, with your moisturizers and your primers or whatever, and you pop this on, I feel like that really gives it a chance to work well, look fresh. But again, like I said, the coverage is there. The staying power is incredible. I wear sand beige. It's a really good skin tone match for me, and you can get that at Ulta. Linking to everything below, my friends. Another great foundation that's new that they've come out with, and this is the one I'm wearing today, is the True Skin Hydrating Foundation with hyaluronic acid. Cool Rose is my shade. I first got Cool Cashmere, and I felt like it was just a little light, so Cool Rose seems to be working better. But as you can see, if you look up close at my skin, I think the coverage is really beautiful. I do not think you sacrifice anything coverage-wise, whichever one of these you pick. This one's just a little more thin and matte, and this one has maybe a little more natural finish on the skin, but both are really incredible, and any application style you like really works well for them. Beauty blenders, dense brushes, class act kind of products there. And then another thing that I think Catrice does really well are their blush and like complexion type color products. The California in a Box is just an amazing way to experience a lot of that in one. By the way, I was just talking about NARS Laguna and Casino, this duo that I have, and I was looking up later online, I couldn't find that duo anymore. Pretty darn similar to that duo, like not on point exactly shade-wise, but both of these are in the ballpark of Laguna and Casino in this palette. You got a couple of gorgeous blushes, an outstanding, like works for anyone highlight. So everything in there is great, and then the individual blushes too, like this one is the glowing and multicolor blush in its Wine O'Clock, and it's just got this beautiful kind of plummy mauve-y tone, but they really know what they're doing with that powder texture. And then the other thing Catrice does that I love are these eyeshadow palettes. I have a whole video devoted to these different Bay eyeshadow palettes. Holding up the basic one here, because this was the first one I got into, and this sparked my obsession with all the rest. I do think this is a great just everyday palette. Every texture in here is very easy to work with. No duds, nothing too flaky, nothing where you're gonna like dodge that one shade because it's just too crazy and too all over the place. You're gonna love everything in here. Beautiful matte texture textures, very blendable, rich feeling shimmers. I mean, this is what I'm talking about when I'm comparing Catrice to high-end brands. This could be repackaged, retooled as a very expensive palette, I think. But don't tell Catrice that. I really like the $15 price tag. And they've got a berry one, they've got a more warm one, there's the Instabay that I basically multitasked as a full face palette in that video where I mentioned all of these. So Catrice, thank you for slaying the game in the drugstore. Another favorite drugstore brand would have to be e.l.f. I mean, when we think about just the e.l.f. brushes alone that I use on an every single day basis, that in itself says a lot about this brand. My main one is the small tapered brush. I love this for my under eye setting powder or setting powder all over the face. The blush brush, using that every single day for blush. And then also they have the complexion brush, which I kind of have been switching off with this and the BK Beauty 107. I probably use the BK Beauty 107 a little bit more, but this is also great if you're looking for all over powder, bronzer, great brushes. Then I think e.l.f.'s other strong suit is concealer. The camo concealers have become a major drugstore standard for me. When I think about the kind of coverage I'm getting out of a concealer, I stop and think, is it as good as e.l.f. camo concealer? They have the regular version or the hydrating version, which is my fave, and my shade is light peach in that. I just find this to be beautiful coverage on the skin, plus that little bit of juiciness that just helps the under eye not feel so parched once it's gotten all blended in. Many people rave about this, so you don't need to hear me go on, and you've seen me use it a lot too, but I think it's without a doubt one of e.l.f.'s best things. Also, e.l.f. has a primer infused line of bronzers and blushes, and especially like this blush here, they have a primer infused shimmer formula and then a primer infused matte formula, but they have really nailed it with the texture of these blushes and bronzers. The benefit you get from it, if you swatch it on your skin and then you kind of rub it away, you can see that that product had enough pigment, or pigment that was, I don't know, formulated in such a way that it actually adheres to the skin. That color stays there even after you like try to rub the swatch away. So I find that very impressive. This is the shade called Always Breezy, so it's one of the shimmer formula primer infused blushes, but if you haven't experimented with a lot of e.l.f., that's a little bit of an under the radar find there. I actually have a whole video on a bunch of what I'd call underrated e.l.f. finds. The bullet points under this could go on for a long time, so I'm just picking out a few things here. But also, I think something that sticks out to me, for e.l.f. being this drugstore price range brand, they are doing a really good job with some new skincare items. The Holy Hydration Face Cream, if you've seen me use like Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base and you're like, yeah, I'd like to experience a nice, rich feeling cream under my makeup, but I don't want to spend a lot of money, try the Holy Hydration, because I think you'll be very surprised at the level of moisture you actually get out of this, the thickness that it does have. And this is the fragrance free. They do have a fragrance, but I mean, why not get the fragrance free? It says with hyaluronic acid and peptide complex, and it feels so good and cushiony just going on the skin. I think that's a really top-notch cream. All right, we got to talk about Milani. Milani. So many things in this line that have been such long-standing favorites. The Milani eyeshadow primer, need I say more? I mean, I drain these tubes and it takes me a long time to do it. This is the best thing to wear under any eyeshadow. I don't care if you're using Pat McGrath or if you're using Wet n Wild. This is the partner. This is the best friend to any eyeshadow. And if it's not working for you, I would say one thing: make sure you're not using too much. I use a very minimal amount. What I squeeze out on one finger is just very small. I work it between the two and I get that all over the lid and up through the crease, up to the brow bone, and it helps your shadow last longer and it helps it stand out more. Who doesn't want that? The 17-hour wear liquid liner, a basic black liner. I'm wearing that today. Childbirth proof, anything proof. I mean, this is one where it actually completely exceeds the claims. 17-hour wear, I probably put this through nearly 36-hour wear. Like, it is so good. Very rich black eyeliner. The little tip here has just enough flexibility to make it easy to take that across the lash line. And as I was comparing this to the new Physicians Formula Matte Minoy in a previous video, that has a brush tip where you kind of got to hold it and keep holding it the same way to get an even, consistent line. And this is just one point that it's coming to. It's a felt tip, but fabulous pigmentation, and the staying power is truly unmatched. The Keep It Full lip plumpers, I'm wearing the shade Rosewood today. That's what I'm holding here. They've got some beautiful creamy pigmented ones like this. There's a really pretty nude. What's the name of that? I'll have to pop it up. But also some shades with some shimmer, and I swear they had to have been inspired by the whole Buxom line, because some definitely remind me of lip creams, others remind me more of lip polishes, but it's got that cooling feel, and I've had this on for probably like 25 minutes at this point. It still feels cooling and refreshing on my lips, and thick and hydrating, yet not annoying. Sticky enough to hang on, but not so sticky that I'm thinking about the product constantly being on my lips. If you haven't tried a Keep It Full lip plumper, definitely worth checking into, and that's all I have on right now. I didn't layer it up with any other kind of liner, and I think this Rosewood shade is really like a My Lips But Better color. Also, on the topic of lips, they're doing lip liners amazingly well. They had been for years with the Color Statement sharpenable lip liners, but now they have these new ones, and they're called Understatement lip liners. Cinnamon Statement, deep kind of warm nude, and then Nude Entrance. This is the one that I think most people really need, because that layers so well with so many nude and neutral lips. It can be the little bit of depth that is necessary to make sense of everything. If you've ever put on a nude lipstick and you're like, it's too nude, this can help kind of feather in the edges and make it all sort of blend into a look that makes sense on your face. Great staying power, very creamy. You can fill in your entire lips with this and have a beautiful look just as is. So yeah, tremendous lip pencils. And then I'd also have to say blushes and highlights. I'm wearing these two today. This is the Romantic Rose Powder Blush. I mean, could they be more beautiful? And these have been around for years, but they are adorable, and they're pigmented, and they're lovely. I love this kind of neutral, dusty rose, so stunning. And then this highlight that I have here is a mini size. I think I could potentially have this forever because it never takes a lot. This is the Instant Glow Powder Strobe Light in Afterglow, and it is just absolutely dynamite. Here's the thing with this. It looks metallic almost on my finger there, but as you smooth that out, you can get beautiful, just pearlescent looking glow. There's no flaky sparkle. It is just the perfect highlighter, and it's been a favorite of mine now for at least a couple years. Profusion. Profusion is a brand not to be overlooked in Walmart. They're doing great things with eye palettes. They have some very large ones, but what has impressed me most from them has been the 10 color palettes. Number one, these are $5. Number two, the pigment and quality can definitely hang with high end. And number three, I really appreciate just the shade choices that are within these smaller palettes. I feel like every one of them that I've tried has been well thought out, very well balanced. Just to show you a few, this Bare palette, this is the one I'm wearing today. I love this very simple range of shades in here. We do have a few shimmers, but we've got a lot of basic mattes. And so I'm wearing that today. I've got some of these two shades in the crease and this on the lid, and that's it. Just a simple look. This is the I'm not trying that hard palette, but I just want a little something on my eyes. I love that. They have a beautiful Mauves palette. Let me open it up so there's no glare. That one came out more recently. They put these out, it seems like, in waves, because one of the earlier ones that came out was the Smoky palette. That was kind of one of my original loves, but also the violets. They're not afraid to play with intense color in these, and you will not be disappointed one bit. We're talking what you see is what you get pigment out of these. Also, the blush palettes. This is the blush one. They have a deeper blush too, but if you can get your hands on one of these are really nice because they combine those beautiful matte and shimmer textures. And you know, it's a wardrobe of blushes, but it's still small. It's still travel friendly. And another thing you don't want to overlook are the eye brushes, especially the small pointed eyeshadow ES6. This is going to be the thing you want to use to work out your shape in the outer corner. It's so great for that. This is the kind of thing I've been trying to find for years. Something that is just like the Essence of Beauty fine crease brushes that I used when I started my YouTube channel. And very few brands will put out a brush that is this perfect size that helps people either with small eyes or people who just want to be able to exactly shape that outer corner of their look or I've been lately using this more for like smudgy liner on the lower lash line. It kind of doubles as a pencil brush. And if you want something that's a lot like a Sigma E25, check out the ES2. They call that the firm blending brush, pinched in right there at the top of the ferrule, so it's great for that back forth motion in the crease. Just starting your look, setting up your crease with a little bit of a transition color there. Those are such nice brushes, well made. I like how there's a little like contour in, there's a little pinch right there. They are so good and just like a couple bucks a piece. Last brand I'm going to mention is a brand that really is doing some, I would call workhorse products, just some things that get used over and over and over. And it's Real Techniques. And I'm talking like this little RT Go brush. I mean, how much have I used this thing? This is perfect for foundation. Great little size there, the angle, the taper, everything is working so well. And then boom, you got a little concealer brush down in there too if you need it. That is such a great innovative brush. Get it at Ulta. Use it for either of those Catrice foundations that I mentioned right off the bat. You'll love it so much. I have heard so much good feedback from people who said, I went and got that brush and I'm so glad I did. And that angle, I'm telling you, like getting in everywhere. You might even find that you don't need to even go for the smaller one so often because this one truly does everything. I also really like their blend and blur brushes. If you're looking for a great quality drugstore paddle style brush, these are so nice because they're chunky, you know, but there's a beautiful taper on them, and that makes them so user-friendly. If you twist your hand, if you're getting around different contours of the face, you've got this one, and then the smaller one. This is actually, I think, for contouring, but I'll use this a lot for concealer. And this might even be a good place to start to see if you even enjoy this style of a brush, is get the concealer one. And I think you'll see the effect that you get from this. You can do kind of a dabbing motion, you can do more of a buffing, but these can result in some really amazing coverage. Other thing, newer to the party here from Real Techniques, I talked about this in my last video, so I won't go too long on it, but the filtered cheek brush, itty bitty brush that's really nice for your liquid highlights. So it's a stipple brush, but it's the smallest stipple brush for the face I've ever seen. Now, if they were still available, I'd also be talking about the Instapop Eye Duo, which are the best brushes for cream shadow. Why they don't have those on Ulta's website anymore, I do not know, but those are incredible. They're a perfect little like angled shape that lets you stamp on and really lay down a cream shadow with these. Now, they're sponges. I know people will ask, like, what do you think about the Real Techniques sponge? I know I've talked about it over the years. I've used it. I have one. I think it's a good quality sponge, but I don't really love the texture of it, as well as the unique texture that's slightly more porous in the actual Beauty Blender. If we're really getting down to it and you present me with both, I will probably pick up the Beauty Blender, because while both are very soft and squishy, the Beauty Blender just has a teeny more texture to the surface that I just think is extra effective in the blending process. But guys, that's gonna do it for me on my top favorite drugstore brands and the things that they do best. I would love to hear from you in the comments, of course. What do you think about these brands I've mentioned? What are your favorite drugstore brands and their hero products? Again, there's still so many brands that I love, but I'm trying to narrow it down and I'm trying to pick the best, so that's what I present to you today. Thank you for taking time to watch. I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.